Ever feel like you're reading a ton, but just nothing's sticking?
Yeah.
It's like you're just going through the motions, but the information just disappears, right?
Right.
So today we're diving deep into how to actually remember what we read, which I think we could all use a little help with.
Definitely.
And we've got a ton of research and techniques to share with you. It's like a cheat sheet for our brains.
Absolutely.
So no more information overload. We're going to make this knowledge last.
We are.
So I think a big thing is that we treat reading way too passively.
Yeah.
Kind of like watching TV, right?
Totally. Like we're just spectators.
But we need to shift gears and become active participants to really get it.
Yeah, we need to be engaged.
So how do we do that? How do we become more active? Because I've tried things like highlighting entire paragraphs, and that clearly doesn't work.
Well, highlighting can be useful, but it's not about highlighting everything.
Right.
It's about being selective.
Okay.
So one thing you can do is preview the material first to get a sense of what it's about, the big picture. Okay.
And then go back and only highlight the key points.
Got it.
And then even better than that, write your own little summaries in the margins.
Ooh, that's good.
Yeah, because when you're forced to rephrase it in your own words, it makes it so much more meaningful.
So we're basically creating our own personalized study guide as we go.
Exactly.
I like that. Okay, now speaking of making things more personal, what about visualization?
Yes.
I've heard a lot about creating mental images, but does that actually work?
Our brains are incredible at processing visuals, right?
Yeah.
So when you create a mental image of something, or even like a mind map, where you're connecting concepts, it's like building a visual anchor for the information.
Oh, okay.
It makes it way easier to recall.
So it's almost like building a memory palace, right?
Exactly.
Where every room or every space has a different piece of information.
Yeah, you got it.
But that seems kind of daunting. I don't even know how to start building a memory palace.
Well, just start small.
Okay.
Like imagine a familiar place,
okay.
like your home,
Uh-huh.
and just assign different concepts to different locations.
Oh.
So,
Okay.
for example, like the living room could represent, the main argument of a book.
Okay.
And then the kitchen could be like a supporting argument.
Okay.
So as you move through that space in your mind, you'll be surprised at how easily you can recall things.
So we're connecting new information to something that we already know well, which is kind of like building a house.
Right.
You need that solid foundation to build upon.
Yeah, because our brains are constantly seeking patterns and connections.
Right.
So if you can link new knowledge to something that you already have a framework for, it just makes the connection stronger.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. But what about when we get bombarded with just tons of information all at once? It's
Yeah.
like my brain just hits a wall. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Like it just can't hold it all.
Information overload.
Yeah.
Well, that's where chunking comes in.
Chunking. Think of it like breaking down a large meal into smaller bites.
Okay.
So instead of trying to take in this massive amount of information, you divide it into digestible pieces.
That makes sense.
And that just makes it way less overwhelming for your mental RAM, so to speak.
Okay, chunking, I get it. But then how do we make sure that that chunked information stays in our memory?
Right.
I've tried flashcards. Honestly, I find them kind of boring.
Yeah, flashcards, they can be one tool.
Okay.
But the real magic is understanding how our memory actually works.
Okay.
We tend to forget things really quickly, but we can combat that.
Okay.
And this is where spaced repetition comes in.
Spaced repetition, yeah. Remind me how that works.
So it's basically reviewing information at increasingly spaced intervals.
All right.
So let's say you learn a new concept today. You might review it tomorrow, then again in a few days, then a week later, and so on.
Got it.
And as you do that, those neural connections get stronger and the memory just sticks.
So we're basically strategically reminding our brain what's important.
Exactly. And there are even apps like Anki that can help you with that. They use algorithms to personalize the process.
So it's not just rote memorization. It's about being smart with our review.
Exactly.
Now, I've also heard this thing about explaining the information to someone else.
Yes.
Does that actually help?
Yeah. So when you teach a concept, even if it's to like an imaginary audience, you have to retrieve the information.
Right.
You have to articulate it, and that process solidifies your understanding.
Yep.
It's like active recall.
Okay.
You're actively pulling that information out instead of just passively rereading.
So instead of highlighting, we should be quizzing ourselves
Yeah.
and explaining things back, even if it's just to our dog
Exactly.
or our cat.
Your goldfish.
Right. So active engagement is key here.
It's like exercise for your brain. The more you work with it, the stronger it gets.
Now, have you ever thought about the role of focus and well-being in all of this?
Oh, absolutely.
Because I'll be honest, I just grab my book and plop down wherever I can.
Right.
I don't really create a special space for myself.
Yeah, but creating a dedicated reading space, free from distractions, can make a huge difference.
Really?
Because if you're constantly bombarded with notifications and noise, your brain has to work so hard just to filter all that out.
Right.
It's exhausting.
That makes sense. So we're giving our brain a fighting chance to focus when we create that quiet space.
Exactly. What other brain-boosting habits do you think are important?
Well, I definitely don't get enough sleep, but I know it's important.
Sleep is crucial.
Yeah.
It's like your brain's filing system,
Oh, okay.
organizing and storing all the information you learn during the day.
So I guess my all-nighters weren't as helpful as I thought they were.
Probably not. Aim for 7-8 hours of quality sleep.
I'll try. So, sleep. Anything else?
Well, staying hydrated keeps our brain cells functioning at their best.
Right?
And exercise, getting that blood flowing, oxygen to the brain, that improves cognitive function.
So physical well-being helps our mental capacity.
Ah.
I love that. Before we go, what's another memory-boosting tip that we should make sure to mention?
The 24-hour rule.
Okay.
Review material within 24 hours of learning it, and it significantly boosts retention.
So even a quick skim the next day makes a big difference.
Huge difference.
That's encouraging, because all this stuff seems like something I could actually do.
Exactly. You don't need a photographic memory, right?
No.
Even just incorporating 1 or 2 of these things can make a noticeable difference.
Yeah, so to our listener out there, what is one technique that you heard today that you could apply to something you're reading right now?
Pick one.
Yeah.
Experiment. See what works best for you.
And remember, learning is a journey. Be patient with yourself, stay curious, and you'll be amazed at what your brain can do.
You really will.
Awesome. Till next time, happy reading.
Happy